Welcome to the show tonight. We just got done doing the chat, so we go over a little bit, but that's cool because I got nothing better to do anyway. So, hope you had a good week. I hope you were able to soak in that. The world is a quickly, vastly changing thing, isn't it? And it goes, it went all the way from one side, the left, all the way to the other side, which is the right. And then this is where we are, and you have to be able to keep pace with that. Really, my advice, if I was going to give you guys any advice about anything, is to not pay attention to it, or treat it like the background noise that it is. Focus on something else. So focus on something that makes you happy. So tonight's show, we're actually going to talk about something. Tonight's show, we're going to have a conversation about manifestation. You heard Oprah talk about it. You heard some other people, A-listers and whatever. So I really don't care what they talk about overall. And I know that they have a lot of time on their hands to talk about things and whatever. But what is manifestation? I'm going to actually go off camera so I can read this thing to you. And we're going to get into what manifestation is and how to achieve it in your life, right? So, manifestation is the process of bringing your desires and goals into reality by aligning your thoughts, beliefs, and actions to create a desired outcome. You create the world around you. If your world is messed up, because you're creating that, you're thinking things are going to be messed up, they're going to keep being messed up, they're not going to be messed up and whatever. Yeah, man. That's what's going to happen. You think those great things are going to happen to somebody who's negative and down? You're not even going to realize the opportunity if that happens. So, this is about the law of attraction, right? The law of attraction, pulling things into your center, taking it in, understanding what you want. Write that down. Get a pad and a pen. Screw the internet, man. Just pad and pen. Write down things I want. Whoosh. Another column, things I don't want. And it's that simple. And start from there. And for the things that you want, you start manifesting those things in your life. You start visualizing. So it's about positive thinking, right? But there's also steps to make your desired reality a possibility. It's not just thinking, okay, I want this, so this is going to happen. Oh shit, it's good to want things, but you got to also be able to work for those goals. And also in your mind, you have to envision, do those mental dress rehearsals and envision what is going to happen in your life. Okay. Intentional thought. Intentional thought. Focusing your mind on your desired outcome and visualizing it as if it's already happening, right? So how are you going to think? Okay? I want the pizza. Is it that simple? You want a pizza? You order a pizza, you get a pizza? You've taken the steps to get the damn pizza. You know? So, all right. It's like this. Lao Tzu, ancient Chinese philosopher, right? I like to reference him often. I like him. Lao Tzu said, "There's no greater curse than desire." So you can go like that, okay? Control the world of desire, because there's things that desire is a weird word. I mean, it could mean almost anything in any situation, but it usually means something that you want for yourself, right? desire. So, intentional thought. I want to better my life. I want to make more money. I want to live in a nicer place. I want to own a nicer place. There's things that I want for myself. Tangible goods. That's usually what people want. People don't usually, it's funny with humans, right? Because you can't take it with you. You can think, okay, I wanted this, I want that, collect this. I'm actually a minimalist, and I don't have much. The stuff I have, I use. If I if I own it, I use it. If I have something that I don't use, I get rid of it because there's things that I kind of, there's everybody like the things that you buy instead of putting it in storage or whatever for later on. And then, well, one time, a long time ago, I had all kinds of like food processing machines, under my counter that I never used. That Ronco guy would come on 3 o'clock in the morning. I just sit there all high with a credit card. You go call Ronco. I need that pasta maker, dude. I need chocolate pasta. You get that shit 6 weeks. Now Amazon's got it to you next day. You get that shit in 6 weeks. And then you're like, the hell is this? I didn't buy this. What is this? It's manifestation. You wanted it. You put the thought out there and found you. Pasta maker. You know how many people bought those things and they just sit in the box? When I was in the antique business and collectibles, I'd go to these garage sales and whatever, looking for stuff, just poking around. And exercise equipment and food processing machines are the two things that you'll find most likely still in the box that they've never opened or used. Remember those machines? What happened? There was like that little guy, Tony Little, that little dude, and he had all the Nordic this and like a super salesman. This is what you can do. Good. It's hard to lose weight. I'm doing it now. You know what I mean? It's not the easiest shit in the world. Manifestation. I'm envisioning that. You know. You know what? I've learned that diet is a four-letter word, and you have to think about reducing. It's not about starving yourself out either. It's about nutrition. Aha! So Tony Little, guys like that, all the big super salespeople, you know, they're out there. But the things that you can use, what are the things that you take with you? You know, those 5-year-old virtuosos who can play the piano like Beethoven or the violin, they never in their lives touched any of that stuff. Where do you think they got that talent from? Where do you think they brought that over from? So the things that you can imagine for yourself and not be limited. Not be limited. We were just talking about, Prince Harry's little princess there selling jams and jellies. It's just kind of funny that that's her level of thinking. Jams and jellies. She could sell underwear. She could sell pantyhose. She could sell books. She could sell movies, whatever else. I mean, with that kind of money and backing and notoriety, the sky's the limit. But her personality is limited, and that's what she envisions. She just wants to be. She did some kind of cooking show. The only reason why I know this is because I see the huge failures in the news when they. That's the only thing they kind of report on is her huge failure, cooking show, whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about her. Nobody cares about the whole situation. People got their own damn problems. If you're focused on that, then you got a lot of free time. Like me, apparently, since I'm talking about it, you got. I just see it. I don't follow it. I look at the news here, and then boom, there it is. He's selling jams and jellies. Then they said the jams and jellies aren't even good, and it's like some $30 jam or jelly, man. So you gotta be like rich even to have that. This is the princess's jelly, her jam. It's called Princess Smeg, her jam. What's that other one? She got she has a vagina candle, man. You know, maybe she should go that route. I mean, there's actually Hollywood stars that come out with the vagina candle, right? That Goop, tells her name. She owns a company called Goop, right? And uh, and that's acceptable. People don't say they don't raise their eyebrows on a vagina candle. She says in the thing the candle smells like her vagina, right? Now it's gonna bother me to see what her name is. Her vagina. What a fucked up world this is. Gwyneth Paltrow. There we go. My brain works. My brain works after all. I was gonna look it up, which I try never to do. If I can't remember something, I don't sit there and try to look it up because it weakens your brain. But Gwyneth Paltrow has a vagina candle. Yeah, man. It smells. She says it smells like her vagina. That she came up with the formula when she was with the guy who was making the formula. She said, "Oh my god, that smells like my vagina." They don't have like a Ben Affleck dick candle though. You can't get. You can't get that. You can't get if he came out with a dick candle, Puff Daddy, a Puff Daddy dick candle. That trial's going on. Girl says penis looks like a Tootsie Roll, and then they would laugh, and he would like, do terrible things to them. I'll never, ever, never be able to eat another Tootsie Roll ever in my life again. Bad enough it was like cat poop, but now you gotta think it's like, hey, Puff Daddy's wet one, something I don't know. But those positive thoughts, positive energy, and you don't think, oh, I'm gonna go do this and fail, or do this and fail, can't do this and fail. You know what? Failure is part of life, and really, there really is no failure, only if you don't do something, right? Isn't that the deal? That's when you fail, when you don't do something, So, and you have to have a belief about the things that you're doing. In manifestation, people believe these things are going to happen. I believe it. I believe that pizza is going to show up. I believe it. Really, you believe these things are going to happen. You believe you're going to get a better job. You believe you're going to, improve your relationships with people around you. Maybe you want to volunteer your time more often. Whatever the heck you want to do. Whatever you want to do to make your life better for you and to find the happiness, what your happiness is that you want to manifest, right? So you definitely want to strongly believe in the possibility of achieving your goals and the power of your intentions, right? Is action, moving into action, not just the thought process, but the action behind it, working for that goal. Because a lot of people think that stuff's going to come to them, happen to them automatically. Part of manifestation is being able to put things together. And that includes your mind, it can include your body, your spiritual energy. You're moving for those goals, right? Constantly working for those goals. So, action. Take action. Okay? Do something. The internet, a lot of people are just sitting there kind of doing nothing. And action to them is writing an email or whatever. But really, action is about taking control of your life. Action is about, it's like driving a car, right? That's not some automaton. You drive it down the road, you close your eyes and take your hands off the wheel. I used to back in the day. We called it night blindness. Cruising down the road and shut the headlights off and go ha 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 ha, just to scare people. I knew what I was doing the whole time. I wasn't some out of control maniac. It was just funny. But control where you're going. You want that car? Do you know where you're going? Are you sitting in the car? Is you running? Are you driving? Are you going to drive? Then what are you doing? You have to have a destination in mind. If you're going to go somewhere, or you're just going to drive around. You can just drive around. I used to just love to drive around. There's times I just drove around New York City, Queens, Brooklyn, or whatever. Brooklyn is the kind of place that you can get lost 15 times in 1 hour. Like, just get lost. You don't know where the hell you are or whatever. I was lost. I was going to my sister's daughter's christening. It was at a church in Brooklyn, right? And I had a unbelievably hot friend, Joanne, in my car. I was giving her a ride to the church, which was even better. And then, of course, she was a lot older than me, but just beautiful. Just nice to be around. She freshened up my whole car. Nice to be around that. My Z28. And we were lost. There was no GPS. There was no nothing. You know what there was? It was payphones, and they were a drag to use in general. But so we're lost. We're looking for this church. I had the address or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Addresses don't matter in Brooklyn. You got to understand. There doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm looking for this address. Don't matter. Big church. That's a better way of finding a place. A big church, right? Then we find a cop, and I pull up to the police car, open my window, and I'm like, "Do you know where so and so is? Whatever." The cop's like, "Are you kidding? I don't even know where I am." And he actually said that. We were laughing our asses off. And that's Brooklyn. We did find the church eventually, and had a good funny story to tell, man. But action, go and do. Have your destination. I'm gonna do this. Don't let things hold you back. Don't let people hold you back. Don't let anybody talk any crap. Advice is a weird, funny thing. Mostly, it's okay. I've been there. I've done it. Here, I'm going to tell you this. But yet, that person's not you, and you're not that person, and they're not going to be like you, and you're not going to be like them. So your experience and the things that you're doing is a totally different experience from what they're going to experience. But they have to experience it so they can understand what they're going to be talking about. Taking action in the things that they do. Take action to manifest. Take action to make things happen. Go be around the people you want to be around if you want to go in that kind of world. Whatever world you want to be in. Whatever you want for yourself. It's kind of like whatever you wish, you can manifest that. You know, look at Meghan Markle. I'm just talking about it. She's a freaking princess. You think that she thought when she was 15 years old that she was gonna be a princess? That she was gonna be able to finagle some dude, wrap his penis around her little finger, and then yank on it whenever she wants, and ruin his life completely, and laugh about it? I like it because it's a perfect example of narcissism and narcissism in a relationship. But I know that they deserve each other. I see it as I see it as just reward. You know. So anyway, getting back to manifestation, right? Taking practical steps and actively working towards your goals, even if they seem small. Because part of manifestation is there's no goal too small, right? Some people are deadlocked. They're overwhelmed in their life. They can't even get up in the morning. Everything's a task. When your life becomes to the point where everything is a task, it's very hard to live. Very hard to live. So you set goals for yourself, right? And I'm going to achieve these little goals, no matter how small they are. You know, I'm going to take the garbage out, feed the birds, whatever. Pet the cat, pet the dog, stuff that you normally do. But sometimes those things, you know what? Sometimes people doing the dishes, it can become a huge mental task. And then they pile up. It becomes more of a task. And then, you know what? People look the other way. I think that that could be part of it, right? Anything can be part of that wall when you hit the wall. Maybe you're depressed. When you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to be around people. You don't want to be around people having a good time. You don't want to deal with any of that, right? Just want to wallow in your misery. Usually, that's when the religious people come find you. Those Jehovah's Witnesses will knock on your door. I used to have these Mormon kids. They knocked on my door one time. Right? I answered the door. I'm 6'5", and then the door had a good 6-inch rise, which makes me like about 7 feet tall almost, you know. So here I am, and I'm a big dude. So here I am answering the door. Welcome to my castle. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Little tender Mormon kid, dude. Young dude. So, two guys. We talked to the Mormon church. I'm like, Joseph Smith. I know him well. He's the biggest bullshit story in the world, you know. Bullshit. More bullshit from a bull's ass than bullshit can possibly be bullshitted. You know, I asked him all these questions about Joseph Smith and the whole thing, from Ontario, New York. You know what I mean? That the whole thing. And then the protective. Oh, when I got into the protective underwear, they knew that I knew what I was talking about. So you'll have protective underwear. Are you wearing this now? Do they have it in the sexy thong? I want to know. I want to be a sexy Mormon. You know, I'm going to give up coffee. I want to have a sexy thong. So I asked him, how come you don't make a whole suit out of that shit? It's supposed to protect your genitals and when you have a horrible accident. I'm like, do you think your penis is going to live on if you get into a plane crash and the rest of your body burns up like some bacon? And your penis is the only living thing left? What kind of crazy shit is that? You know what I mean? Oh, it's a vagina monster. It comes as a living vagina. Man, we lost her, but the vagina's still alive. What do you do with it now, doctor? What do you do with the living vagina? Or the living Mormon penis? What do you send it? Is there like a P.O. box? P.O. box, living vagina, Mormon church. Here is another one. Here's another one for you. They have a whole room full of jars. I don't know what they do. It's so stupid. The whole thing is stupid. So the next year, I'm doing dishes, looking out my window, you know, at the front road, and I see the Mormon kids come like to the driveways, the wraparound driveway, and these kids ran from one side to the other side. I was looking forward to having a conversation with them about what they do. You know, so they're brainwashed. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's the dumbest, most stupid story. This is stupid. Stupid. If you know it, it's stupid. I heard some stupid stories in my life, but So those practical steps of not being brainwashed by somebody and being happy in and of yourself. Are they happily brainwashed? I don't know. Maybe they are. And then we come to emotional alignment. Boom, 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 boom. Come for your emotional rescue. I'm gonna buy an old ambulance. I'm looking at it. I wanna make it a stealth camper. I found a really cool ass ambulance. There's something about it that I'm attracted to. I don't know. I'm stupid. That's what. And every 20 years you got to buy something really incredibly stupid that you regret And this I can see this one coming, man. And the guy really wants me to have it too. You know, he keeps going down in price, and I'm like, no, stop it, man, no, no. But I want it, but I can't have it. But I want it. Oh, what kind of cool? Cool. You know what? A cool stealth camp. Me and the cat, right? Put the bed. You got your little kitchen, whatever. It's a fucking ambulance. Put the name. So I want to put the name on the side. Emotional rescue. It's got the rescue. I've come for your emotional rescue. So feeling the positive emotions associated with your desired outcome. Woo! That's a sentence right there. I have to read that again. Let me read that shit again. Feeling the positive emotions associated with your desired outcome. Wow. So, one, you do that mental dress rehearsal. You know, Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins. I read one of his books one time. If you read one of his books, you never have to read others because they're all kind of the same. But he's a brilliant dude. Understands really marketing and how to reach people and also connect with their minds. But the whole theory behind neurological linguistic programming (NLP) is training your brain to work in a certain way that takes the bad memories, the terrible memories, squelching them out, getting rid of them, and bringing forward the good stuff or the things that you want. Right. So in a mental dress rehearsal, like what we say in comedy or people say in acting, before you go on stage, you envision what's going to be like, what's going to happen, and then the possible great outcome, and then it's already like you've done it. So it's not like you're doing it for the first time. It's already like you've done it. You already had went in and accomplished these goals, and then you can enjoy the emotion behind it. And even if things go horribly wrong, and they always do with everything, you know, you can handle it because you've gone through this already, right? You just have to understand expectations, you know. So you want to be able to attract the good energy, the good people, the good situations. Once you start doing that, you start getting invited into better situations around better people, you know, going on and on and on to what you really want, the people you want to be around. I'm very comfortable around artists, musicians, people like that. Always have been, always will be. Like to jam with musicians. I like to play. You know, it's a lot of fun. I play all kinds of instruments. You know, I don't talk about it a lot, but I do, and it's just fun. You know, it's just something that I had a band and all that back in the day. Of course, you want to have fun. The most fun we ever had. I hung out in a rehearsal studio that one of my friends owned, right, and it was on Long Island, and his parents owned a music store that was downstairs called Cora Music, right, Hempstead Turnpike, man, and East Meadow. So Joe Satriani, the big guitarist, used to give lessons there when he was like a teenager. Like imagine getting lessons from Joe Satriani. And he was always around. So he would come around. This was like years later, but he would come around the studio from time to time. And then I used to hang out at this club that my other friend owned called Sundance, Frank Cariola. And then Joe had a weekly gig every Wednesday night, which was cool. We all hung out there. Amazing guitarist, right? But but at the studio, we all had our bands and whatever, and I hung out there every night. We were always doing something, helped out too, and did whatever I could. And at the end of the night, when all the other people, band people would leave, do their thing, whoever was left, we would pile into the big room, the A room that was called, which had every great amplifier, Marshall, Randall, Mesa Boogie, all that, PV, everything you think of, right? Awesome sound system, awesome PA system, all of that. And we had the key to the music store that was downstairs, of course. So we had access to every instrument. If you want to grab a Gibson, well, you got it. You want to grab Fender, you got it. Some people grab a saxophone that never played it before. We had drums, of course, in each of the rooms already set up. So you take turns, you sit down, you play, you jamming whatever. And it was the best music I ever heard in my life. It was the best times, the most laughter, all that, everybody having a good time. That was something. And that manifested great energy. Then afterwards, we'd cut out, go to the diner, get some burgers and whatever, man, or go to Manhattan. New York City was only 25 minutes away. 3 o'clock in the morning, that's a quick ride. And go to Chinatown. I used to go to this place called Wu Hops, on Mott Street and get just great Chinese food. It was just downstairs restaurants. You just go down, get your stuff. Everybody's jammed in there like cattle. But it was the scene, man. It was like the good days, and that's the energy that when you manifest that energy, it just keeps going and going and going, and getting better and better as you go along, right? Until things go horribly wrong. until until stuff gets in the way. But people grow, people change, people grow up. You know what I mean? They do. My friend Frank, he used to hang out. He didn't hang out at the studio, but he was one of the guys that hung out at Sundance, and he was a concert promoter with Gordon, his brother, and Frank McKay. Frank McKay's head of the Independence Party now. He's got his own shows on ABC Radio and whatever. You know what? But we used to do crazy stuff back in the day. I won't say, but it was crazy stuff. It was fun stuff because we were young, and then everybody was. We were all a great group of people, you know. And Long Island, man, it's very tight communities. But like if you're in the music business on Long Island, you know everybody because you're seeing everybody all the time. So anyway, the good old days. You manifest that. You bring out that good, that great energy. You want to kind of focus on the emotion that you're elated because things are really cool and whatever. So your thoughts and emotions create a vibrational frequency that attracts similar experiences in your life. You might hear a lot about people talking about frequencies, and there's a lot of discussion behind it. There's a lot of exploration behind it, but frequency, right? Being able to tune in, you know. See this? These are my tuning fingers. Being able to tune in to who? There's ways of doing it. In NLP, they talk about auditory, right? Kinesthetic, and also visualization. People tend to use words in the mode that they're in. If you listen to them, listen to someone say a sentence, anybody, and listen to the words. Are they talking visually? Are they talking auditorially? Are they talking kinesthetically? All right, so I'll give you an example. Ooh, I see what you're talking about. I can't wait to take a look at this. When I see you tomorrow, so see, look, whatever. They're talking about what? Visualization, right? Or if they say, oh, I hear you, I mean, whatever the words, you're going to hear them. Yeah, see, there you go. You're going to understand what they mean, or kinesthetically. Oh yeah, I feel you. I can't wait to get my hands on this and really. So if you start talking to that person the same way, using those words, you're going to connect with them on a subconscious level that they're not going to understand that you're connecting with them on, right? If you're a salesman, you can do that, and it's kind of like, is it wrong to do? I don't know. I think that you want to make the connection, so are you using someone doing something like that, or is it unfair tactic doing something? I don't know. That's up for you and your conscience to decide. Let's say you're selling cars, right? Automobile. That's the thing. If I say the word automobile, you know what I'm talking about. But we're all going to have a different picture in our mind what an automobile is. When that flashes through their mind, might be your own, might be somebody else, might be something that you like. So let's say you're selling an automobile. Here comes your client. They're coming in, they're looking. You ask them, what's the your favorite thing about your most favorite car, the thing you liked about it the most? You know, oh man, I like the way it was fast and I like the way it sounded. Great stereo system and whatever. So I'm the salesman. I'm going to take you to the fastest, loudest, best stereo system car and put your ass in the seat and let you feel it, let you drive it, let you hear it, and all. Then I'm going to listen to your words. Are you talking with feeling? Are you talking about sound? Are you talking about vision? Whatever. Then I'm going to use that. Some people will stay on the auditory. Some people will switch back and forth. And if you know how to talk to them and switch back and forth, you are aligning yourself with their frequency. You're listening to the rhythms of what they're talking about and then aligning yourself with that. So it's the law of attraction, right? Those thoughts and emotions are creating that vibration, and you're communicating with somebody else. You're putting those vibrations out there. And then, man, if you're into the world of quantum physics and other things, like, you understand that energy can just flow. Energy doesn't die, and it just goes and flows. If you're putting those good vibes out there, who who doesn't want to be around someone who is feeling good, right? Vibrating. A study was done on attraction between women and men, and women tend to like men if you're in a supermarket, you're doing your shop, right? Women tend to like men who don't smile. And I found that was interesting. And every study they do like that, it comes up with the same conclusion. They like men that kind of like, you know, they probably look for men to have a little wince of pain in their face, knowing that if they're in a relationship, that, that I've given up. I've given up, man. Life sucks. I had this one woman, and she was friends with my ex. And she creeped me out to begin with. I was in the store, shopping, doing my thing. She jammed her cart into my cart, and she saw me. She saw me, I saw her, and then she's like, boom! Ha 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 ha! Hi! Fuck you want? Hi! I hate that stuff. So, do I smile at people in the store? No. What am I smiling about? you know, if I'm sitting there talking to someone, laughing or whatever, it's one thing. If I'm just shopping, I'm not going to sit there smiling at the fruit. I'm not a total nut job. 90% maybe, 92, but not a total. I'm not sitting there smiling at the corn. Hello, watermelon. If you find Michael Angley in there talking to fruit and the produce, you done call 911. It's in this man's lost it. He's gone crazy. He's talking to the corn. Yeah. So subconscious mind. We just talked about that, right? By focusing on your desired outcome, you can subconsciously prompt your mind's need a search for solutions and opportunities. You're programming your brain. This is the way it's going to be, brain. These are the things that we're looking for. These are the things I'm focusing on. Oh, but you failed doing that. Psh, who cares? You know how many inventors failed? You think Nikola Tesla didn't fail? You think that Einstein didn't fail? You know, of course, every great innovator, every great scientist, every great anything has failed times in their lives, probably more than you could even imagine. So you want to focus on success, focusing on that desired outcome and then making it happen, you know? And you want your brain to be able to react before you even react, right? With those good feelings. And then recognizing opportunities, not thinking, someone offers you a nice job, and I keep going back to job because people need money. Money's a motivator. You need to have things. You want to have decent things. You want to live in a decent place, right? You gotta have take care of your kids or whatever the hell you got. You know, money's a necessity. Well, money isn't everything. You know who says money isn't everything? Rich people. They say that, man. So yeah, it's not everything, but you need it. It's most things. You know, money doesn't buy you love. Money buys me pizza, and I love pizza. So that's a whole different discussion. Whole different discussion. So it's about rewiring your brain. If you're depressed and you're down, whatever, you got to take those things that are making you down away. You take them out to the garbage. You put it in your mind. Take it out to the garbage away. Getting rid of it. They come take the trash away. It's gone. It's gone. Out of mind, out of sight. Some dumpster somewhere or some dump. So, but rewiring your brain. So neuroscientists suggest that consistent focus on your goals can literally rewire your brain to be more receptive to those outcomes, not resistant. Back to Lao Tzu. Pay as much attention to the end as to the beginning, right? Because people tend to fail at the end. You have to visualize that. You have to visualize it. And not just the end of that thing, of where it's going to go after that, where you want things to go, where you think things should go, how they should be placed in your universe, right? That's the deal. Reaching for those goals. So it's not, you know, it's not some magic trick, right? To do these things. It's not something that is off the wall. I can't achieve the goal. I don't know how to do this. Everyone can do it. Everyone can manifest something in their lives that they want. You can also manifest terrible things. People do because that's the world they live in. If you live by your limitations, or if you're low expectations or low limitations, right? What's going to happen? A great is someone going to offer you a great job if you live like that, or if you're the kind of person that shines constantly, people are going to want to be around that. They're going to want to do things for you, with you. Because they're going to want that for themselves. They're going to want to know how you found that. How did you find this? It wasn't some Mormon kid knocking on your door. Nobody finds anything but misery when it comes to that. Jehovah's Witnesses seeking out people at their worst, and oh, I understand, we love you, whatever. You know what? Be your own person, right? Be a mensch. Be your own person, and nurture the world around you. Cultivate the world around you. Have courage in your heart. Don't let people hold you back, because those same people don't have your best interest at hand. That makes sense? So positive thinking, visualization, manifestation, it's not about wishing for things, you know, without taking action. It's not about, oh, grant me three wishes and whatever. Come on, man. It's about, okay, having a plan. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. This is going to how I'm going to work for those goals. This is going, if you don't know how to work for those goals, find someone who's already achieved those goals and pick their brain. You know what? Successful people love to share their stories. They love it. Model yourself after that, so you know what pitfalls, because they can. Yeah, you need to experience things yourself, to experience those things yourself and have your own story. But people can give you advice on what to look out for. The map is not the territory, right? So you can have that map and whatever, look at it and understand where okay, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to go, I'm going to go there. But when you speak to someone who actually went, they can say, oh, yeah, be careful of this and look out for that. Oh, yeah. Use it. Use it to your advantage. Use people's other experience to your advantage, right? So, and flexibility and openness. Be open to unexpected opportunities and possibilities that may arise during your manifestation process, because they are going to happen. And don't say no, right? When you have a better opportunity, let's say, well, maybe in a few months, maybe I don't feel ready. I'm not ready for this yet, whatever. You manifested it. You thought about it. You're the one who wanted it. Ready is a matter of mindset. Not ready. You're always ready. You know? I used to be the last one to volunteer in school because I hated myself, man. I didn't like myself growing up. I grew up in an abused situation, you know, and I truly felt alone most of the time. Basically just worried about my mom all the time because she was in the same situation, obviously. So it took me a long time to learn how to love myself and to learn how to forgive myself too. For Yeah, like forgive myself, even though other people did terrible things, but I forgave myself. I didn't blame myself for it, and but in school, you know, when they say, who wants to do this, put your hand up. I was the last one. I was the one they called on last. I sat in the back of the class. They didn't even care, or whatever. They just let me sit back there. And then it took a long time until I found, when I was 12 years old, right? I found the Tao Te Ching. I found philosophy. Yeah? And I was searching through all these religions. I got Jewish family. I've got Catholic, Christian. Catholics are supposed to be Christian, but I don't think they're. And not putting anybody down out there, but you got to go a long way to convince me of organized religion is good for anything. But so a lot of different influences, a lot of different things that people say and do and whatever. Right? I got into martial arts. When I got into martial arts at that time, I was really really into it, into the wisdom behind it, not just the martial arts itself, you know, but I'm talking about the wisdom, the knowledge, that the story that goes along with it. There's a lot that goes along with it. And then not long after that, I was the first one to volunteer. And I knew a lot of guys that fought in wars, like I grew up around a lot of war people, and they're the first one to say don't volunteer. Never volunteer for anything. But I think that you want to set the path. It's just not about being judged by others or whatever, or worrying about what people think about you. It's about what you think about yourself. how you live with yourself every day, how you go to sleep at night, how you wake up in the morning, what your last thoughts are or your first thoughts are in the morning, and what you're going to do in your life, and how am I going to enjoy my day today, and what am I going to do today, am I going to help somebody out today? It could be anything, right? But when you want something for yourself, there's people, everybody I talk to wants something different. And when they focus that manifestation, they say, "How do I make this happen?" Well, you have to create the world around you. That your reality is what you create. So, are there things out of your control? Oh, I just told you I was an abused kid. you know, I had no control over anything then, right? Because I wasn't in control of the situation. When I got of age, I became in control of my own situation, and I never let anybody, not anyone, hurt me ever again. And I assist other people who don't. I mean, like my mom and I had no one to go to. The cops, officials, whatever, they don't care. They're there getting paid. I know there's a lot of good cops out there and whatever, but this was back in the day. There was no CPS, none of that stuff. And then in the day, people didn't want to get involved. My friend's parents didn't want to get involved. I was just talking to one of them recently. These guys, my two friends, best friends growing up, their mom. And she said, "Oh yeah, her sons had told her some of the stuff going on or whatever." But that was that was as much as she said, and that was the end of the conversation. It was a lot of years later. You know, I don't blame anyone. I only blame the ones involved. They're all dead. You live your life, you move on. But when people are out there hurting, suffering, I love to help them out. And you know what? To me, it's fighting evil, and when you can stomp on it and you know give that evil nothing but the sword, that's exactly what it needs to happen. So otherwise, if you look the other way and you don't do anything, and by the way, that the person is very religious, which I find interesting too, because they're the first people that don't want to get involved. They're religious people. I understand it. it if you're a warrior, you're a warrior. If you're not, you're not. Some people don't want to get involved. They're just focusing on their own stuff. But I wouldn't be able to not get involved. If it was me and my kid had a friend who was being abused, I would certainly do something about it. I could never sit by and watch animal abuse. I could never sit by and watch children being abused or people or anyone, anyone, you know? So some people aren't like that. Some people are. Some people will live next door. You hear it all the time in the news. Kids getting starved to death, left alone in these apartments, crying all day long and all night long, and people live right next to them, do nothing. What the hell? How can you do nothing? Kids crying. You know what's going on over there. How could you do nothing? How could you do nothing? What kind of person are you? You're you're as guilty of the abuse. You're an additional player. You're an accomplice if you're sitting there turning a blind eye to abuse. You know, so do something. You do something, and just like manifestation in your life, you do something. You create that action. You do something. You achieve those goals. Then you know you did something. Now I got a reputation. You know, like locally, since I was on TV for all those years, just on local television, but I accomplished a lot of goals in that time, and fought back against a lot of people, city officials and whatever, DAs, whatever came along, businesses that were polluting or whatever the hell they did. So now they know. Oh, they hear my name and they're like, oh shit, yeah, those are the two words that follow Michael Angley. Oh shit, yeah, that's good. It makes me feel good that those people understand what they're dealing with. They understand part of it anyway. But it's better to do the right thing than do the wrong thing. And there's all saying, people are going to have to do the right thing over what's easy. That's bullshit. Because the right thing is always the easiest thing. They do the wrong thing, and then terrible things happen. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you guys had a good time listening to the show tonight. I hope you manifest the right things in your life. I hope you manifest the things that you need the most. I hope that if you're out there suffering in any way, that you climb to that higher goal, but you take action. Take action. And if you're dealing with a horrible person and an abuser, put the spotlight on them. Do it anything you can to expose them, because they only like to lurk around in the dark where they can hurt people, and they don't want you to go. They don't want you to tell anyone. They don't want you to tell anyone anything about what they do, because that's what they are. Put them out there. Put the spotlight out there on them, man. Let everybody know. Let everybody know, the whole community, whatever you got, all your friends, family, let them know what kind of people they are and what you're doing. But anyway, I hope you find those good things in your life. And I'll see you guys next week on the show. Bye.